Hi, everyone, and welcome to Module 1 of Archival Theory and Practice. My name is Rebecca Sheffield. I'm an archivist and educator living and working in Ontario, Canada. This is the first of 6 lessons that will help guide you through each week. You will also find a link to the slides in your course platform if you want to follow along. Each slide deck contains links to additional resources that you may want to explore as you move through the material. This week, we're going to explore the foundations of archival theory, the core ideas that shape how archivists understand records, the people who create and use them, and the institutions or organizations that preserve them. Whether you've worked in an archives before or this is all brand new, this module should give you the conceptual grounding for everything that we'll do in the course. Let's start with some foundational archival concepts. When we talk about archives, we're talking about more than a building or a storage facility. An archives is fundamentally a system of records, kept deliberately, in context, and for future use or consultation. Archives can hold government files, photographs, oral histories, data sets, correspondence, or born digital materials like email or social media posts. What ties all of these things together is not their format, but the idea that they were created in the course of an event or activity. Archives document actions, experiences, relationships, and decisions. Modern archival practice is shaped by two big ideas. Number one is provenance, the idea that records reflect the functions and activities of the individual, family, or organization that created them. The term provenance can simply refer to the name of the individual, family, or organization that created or accumulated those records as part of their day-to-day activities. The second big idea is the concept of original order. In archival science, original order is the principle that records should be kept in a manner that reflects the context of their creation, the conditions that led to the creation of these records, the creator's workflow, or the process in which they were naturally used or filed. This is considered crucial for understanding the historical and evidential value of a collection of records. So, in archives, we don't impose a new order based on subject or date of creation, or catalog records as you might a book, for example, using the Dewey Decimal System. We try to preserve the creator's logic as much as possible. That said, an archivist may have to reconstruct an order if one is not apparent or it has been disrupted over time. Archivists may also use a third term, respect des fonds. Adopted from the French tradition, respect des fonds, or respect for the fond, is a core archival principle meaning that records from a single creator or provenance should be kept together as a unique group, called a fond, and not interfiled with records from another creator, and ideally maintained in their original order. This preserves their context, authenticity, and meaning for future researchers. It also ensures that records retained as evidence of the creator's activities, functions, or relationships reflect their original structure or purpose rather than being reorganized by subject. As archivists, we want to help future researchers understand not only what the record says, but how and why it came to exist. So, now you have 4 new vocabulary terms to add to your toolkit: provenance, original order, respect des fonds, and fond. You might also consider the word record. It has specific meaning in archival science. Archival records are any material created or received by a single provenance, a person, family, or organization, as part of their day-to-day activities, and they're preserved because of the enduring value of the information they contain, or because they are evidence of the functions, activities, relationships, and responsibilities of their creator. Before we get into more technical language, let's take a step back and look at the development of the archival profession. The field of archives, sometimes called archives administration or archival science, has evolved significantly over time. Early archival theory in Europe emphasized state records and centralized power. Perhaps the most important development during this time was the publication of the Manual for the Arrangement and Description of Archives, written by three state archivists, Samuel Mueller, Johann Feith, and Robert Fruin, known today as the Dutch Trio. Influenced by German and French archival theory, the trio originally published their manual as a practical guide and introduced those foundational principles of provenance and original order to a larger audience. The manual was translated into English in 1940 and had tremendous impact on British archivist Hilary Jenkinson. Sir Jenkinson, who served the Public Records Office from 1912 until his retirement in 1954, was responsible for bringing continental European concepts of archival theory to the English-speaking world. This included incorporating concepts put forward by the Dutch trio and ensuring that archivists developed methodology for managing records and archives that differed from library methods. In the United States, T.R. Schellenberg is regarded as the grandfather of modern archival theory and practices. Working and writing in the mid-20th century, Schellenberg embraced European concepts of provenance and original order, but emphasized the need to evaluate records based on their informational and evidential value. In archives, we refer to this evaluation process as appraisal, or the process of identifying records of enduring value for long-term preservation. For Schellenberg, archival appraisal was key to managing the significant volume of state records that had been produced during the World Wars, making it impossible to simply save everything. Only the best evidence of government functions, actions, and activities would be kept. Later theorists, especially from the 1990s onward, have challenged the rather narrow framework developed by state archivists such as the Dutch trio, Jenkinson, and Schellenberg, and I would encourage you to explore some of the debates that have emerged in archival literature since this time. Scholars like Terry Cook, Vern Harris, Michelle Caswell, and Jeanette Bastian have not only challenged the assumption that, if followed, archival methodology produces an accurate, objective, and significant historical record. It is commonly understood in modern archival theory that neither archives nor archivists are neutral, but rather our collections and our ways of working are shaped by power, politics, exclusions, and the positionality of archivists themselves. This shift has brought new questions to the forefront. Who gets to decide what's documented? Whose stories are privileged? And how does archival work reinforce or resist systems of power? In archival science, you'll also encounter two important models: the records life cycle and the records continuum. The life cycle model imagines records moving through discrete stages, from creation to active use to semi-active storage, and finally to archival preservation or destruction. This model is familiar in government and corporate environments. The continuum model, in contrast, sees records as an ongoing, integrated process with overlapping stages. It emphasizes the social life of records, their multiple audiences, and their long-term implications for memory and accountability. Archivists are not passive custodians. They are active decision makers, mediators between creators, users, communities, and institutions. The professional ethics of archivists emphasize stewardship, accountability, transparency, and service, but also equity and care. Every appraisal decision, every description choice, every access point is shaped by an archivist's judgment and by the institutional and cultural frameworks around them. Recognizing this responsibility is essential to ethical practice. So this week, as you complete your glossary activity and your discussion post, I encourage you to think about the assumptions you've carried about archives. Whose stories do you imagine? What kinds of records feel archivable to you? And how might those assumptions be expanded, challenged, or complicated? Thank you, and I'll see you in week 2.